Episode 317. Han Wenqing's striker clapped his hands together, slamming them toward the battle spear. Lord Grimm's spear was still thrusting forward, seemingly impossible to retract now. But then, with a sudden clatter, the front half of the spear seemed to shatter apart, abruptly springing open and fanning out. Then, with a flip back, the front section composed of umbrella ribs and canopy, just as suddenly folded back up and retracted. The striker's hands froze in mid-air, his attempt to catch the blade meeting nothing but empty space. This particular transformation of the myriad manifestations umbrella had never been seen before in the entire history of Glory. Even a super veteran like Han Wenqing was caught completely off guard by it. The myriad manifestations umbrella, now retracted from its spear form, was raised and leveled. Its tip flipped open, revealing a dark hollow gun barrel. A flash of fire, and 3 consecutive anti-tank rounds blasted out at point-blank range. For most players, an anti-tank cannon at this range would be a death sentence. Jiang Yu and the others watched this scene unfold, their hearts sinking with a silent sigh. But Han Wenqing was a man who had never known the meaning of despair. In that moment, his choice wasn't to dodge, nor to retreat. It was to charge forward. He charged straight into the muzzle of the anti-tank rifle, its shell about to slam into his body. Han Wenqing's striker had already thrown his punch. The explosion's smoke and fire rapidly billowed out, engulfing the striker's entire form. Yet Han Wenqing's striker did not fall, nor was he blasted away. 3 anti-tank missiles, 3 shots fired at point-blank range. He actually punched them all out of the air. The fist shadows pierced through the flames, continuing their relentless assault toward Lord Grimm. Even if his punch connected, taking a point-blank anti-tank missile hit wouldn't leave anyone unscathed. The anti-tank cannon skill is designed to knock back, stun, or even knock down its target, thanks to the sheer impact and explosive force of the shell. Han Wenqing's striker stood his ground so firmly because he had activated a state skill, Iron Body, the striker's level 15 ability. This skill lasts for 20 seconds. During that time, the character's physical defense is massively boosted, and they enter a state of super armor. Exactly. It was the super armor state that allowed the striker to ignore the effects of the anti-tank cannon's attack. However, super armor isn't invincibility, while in that state a character is immune to knockback, stun, and similar effects, but they still take the full brunt of the damage. However, the physical defense boost from steel bones would mitigate as much of that damage as possible. But even without those damage reductions, Han Wenqing would use steel bones without a moment's hesitation. He wanted no retreat, no hesitation, only to press forward. Such an unyielding stance sent the audience, including Jiang Yu, into a frenzy. They fought hard to keep from roaring, but each one of them wished they could dive into the computer, stand beside Han Wenqing, and fight at his side. Now, all they could do was hope that this forceful punch would teach Lord Grimm a lesson. But Lord Grimm was already backing away as the anti-tank missile fired. It was as if he'd anticipated the punch. The moment he fired the anti-tank gun, his character was already leaping back. He used the skill's recoil to execute a gun fu maneuver, and the striker's retaliatory punch, delivered through the damage, ultimately hit nothing but air. Amidst the crowd's disappointed sighs, Han Wenqing seemed utterly unfazed. His character surged forward in the next instant, bursting through the smoke and flames, leaving the explosion behind him. Lord Grimm shot backward with aerial gunfire, putting distance between himself and the striker. The striker couldn't close the gap immediately, but with a flick of his wrist, he launched a sand toss. Sand toss is a brawler skill. But since both brawlers and strikers belong to the fighter class, they can share skills learned before the level 20 job change. However, with limited skill points, players can't just learn everything. They have to choose which skills to take, which to skip, and which to level up high. Which skills should you just take a single level in? Debates over skill point allocation have raged for a decade, and there's still no consensus. When you can't even max out your own class's skills, choosing which low-level skills from other classes to take before level 20 becomes even more a matter of personal preference and strategy. The striker had learned sand toss and chose this moment to unleash it. Lord Grimm, caught mid-air in his backward gunner's leap, had no easy way to dodge. But the skill's damage is low. The real nuisance is its blinding effect. While you can spin your view to avoid a direct hit to the eyes and prevent the blindness, in a duel between masters, that split-second glance away is all the opening your opponent needs. Between masters, a sand toss is sometimes used just for this kind of momentary control. If you're not looking at your opponent, it's practically the same as being blinded. Ye Shu had no intention of giving Han Wenqing that opening. He snapped his myriad manifestations umbrella open with a sharp crack, and the sand toss pattered harmlessly against its surface. Ye Shu's view was completely blocked by the umbrella, but he clearly saw Han Wenqing's move. The striker in his hands suddenly rubbed its palms together, conjuring a chi wave bullet that shot straight toward him.
Huh?
Ye Shu was a bit surprised. Chi wave bullet was a chi master skill, while sand toss could be used for disruption due to its blinding effect, making it a viable pick for a striker. Chi wave bullet was just a standard projectile type skill. It has no special attack effect, and while its damage is decent at higher levels, but its magic damage. A Chi Master is an intelligence-based spellcaster, a completely different beast from a power-based martial class like a striker. Even when using the same Chi Wave bullet, the damage output is on a completely different level. A striker can't unleash the true power of this skill, which is why there's never been a build that includes it. Yet this striker, while not Han Wenqing's own account, was being used by the veterans of Tyrannical Ambition. To see it still spec'd like this was a genuine surprise to Ye Shu. The Chi Wave bullet wasn't particularly fast, but Han Wenqing's timing was impeccable. A true veteran of countless battles, he could even wield a skill he rarely used with practiced ease. The Chi Wave bullet arrived just as Lord Grimm touched down. Ye Shu, of course, wasn't about to get hit for no reason and dodged aside, but Han Wenqing's striker had already closed the distance, pressing the relentless assault. He charged in with a front kick. Lord Grimm sidestepped, but the striker instantly followed up with a backhand slap.